Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily podcast, where we bring you inspiring stories from tech entrepreneurs and leaders from all around the world. I'm your host, and I'm quite excited to introduce you to our guest, Kofi, in a few moments ago. He was born to African parents, raised in Italy, and a self-made tech magnate who has achieved phenomenal success in the tech industry. And by that, I mean from launching an award-winning digital agency called Little Room to co-founding Lane, the world's largest work experience platform, and has since turned multiple businesses into thriving enterprises and sold them for millions. But he's also a champion for social impact with technology and dedicating his time and his resources to non-profit initiatives. So in this episode today, we're going to explore Kofi's inspiring origin story, discuss his love for technology, but also learn more about his experiences with Little Room and Useful, and dive into the incredible journey of building and selling Lane for $200 million, but also about Kofi's passion for giving back and leveraging technology to make a difference in the world. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to New York, where Kofi is waiting to share his story.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kofi Gyekye, and I'm a serial entrepreneur focused in the tech space. I've been doing this for the last 15 or so years. I'm currently based in New York City, having run my last business from here. Originally, I'm from Italy, born to African parents, and that's my story briefly.
Yeah, and you said that's your story briefly, and it is, because there's so much to unpack there from Italy to New York. So can you share your origin story and a moment that possibly would ignite your love for technology? Can you remember what it was that put you on this path?
Yeah, most certainly. To be honest, there's two things. One was, coming from Europe, technology often, we'd look at the stage, we look at America for a lot of great software innovation, video game consoles, all of that, something I just, as a child, was very, very interested in. And so I would, daddle and diddle with everything, whether it was, unboxing a computer, trying to understand how to get onto the new software, or even just logging into my video games and really trying to understand what are the mechanics behind this thing I'm enjoying and this experience I'm having. Went to university for law and political science, and I actually thought I was going to, because, when we come from, often not many people are computer scientists, right? To meet many of those, you meet doctors, lawyers, engineers. But our world, being a millennial, was just literally covered in tech in every aspect. And so I was just severely intrigued. 2008 came along, was graduating. As we all know, the economy was quite difficult. There's not much going on. And my business partner, who I've actually worked with for the last 15 years, we had an opportunity to try and become part of that technological wave. And so we began our first digital agency called Little Room. And this was in the beginning of what I would like to call, the second wave of the internet, Web 2.0, HTML5. People talk about mobile apps. We just had Facebook come up, and social started to become quite powerful. And we really wanted to be a part of that conversation.
And I think it was 2011 that you went on to launch the award-winning digital agency called Little Room, which specialises in digital, mobile and enterprise solutions. And it achieved a UNICEF Global Standard, which is a phenomenal achievement on its own. Can you tell me more about that experience too?
Little Room was quite a unique digital agency because we were quite focused on the human experience and how we can leverage technology in order to improve that. And I like to name that the human condition. And so we were not instilling technology for the sake of it. We were trying to build technology that would help improve people's lives, interactions, whether it is you going to your office every day or you trying to sell your business to somebody. And how we actually got to the global standard was quite interesting. I had a friend that was working with the Canadian government in order to try and stop infant mortality in West Africa, specifically northern Ghana. And what they had wanted actually is just, your typical agency services. They wanted some branding, they wanted, some visuals, a pamphlet, and so forth. And I realized very quickly that they had not thought of a digital approach to this. And the biggest issue actually with neonatal mortality is the fact that you have very rural areas. Typically, a lot of the information these individuals are getting are these massive pamphlets and books that are, mostly very literate, you can't read or write. most information is oral, yet, they've been given essays to read and try and solve these problems. And so I quickly looked at, the content, everything they had. And, I sat down with the team and I said, look, let's do some pro bono work. It's such an amazing, amazing opportunity. One that's also close and dear to me, obviously, as my father is gone in. And I took a digital approach to their actual problem. And so I created a mobile app-like interface, but just on paper. So if a child is born and they weigh under X amount of pounds, you'd have to, take them to the midwife. Or if they, wait 2 days, or if you saw the symptoms. But they were using all these quite difficult mechanisms. I just changed it into color. So if it was green, the child was okay. If it was yellow, tick that box and come back in 2 days. If it was red, these are the 4 locations you have to go to immediately. And then these are the follow-ups. And we ended up actually curbing neonatal mortality up in that region by almost 80%.
Wow. And I think shortly after that, you also went on to co-found Useful. Can you expand on that next chapter? Sounds like you've been incredibly busy.
Yes. Useful was our first foray into, bringing software into the experiential world. So, we really, we were always behind the screens. We were, in the living room era, we were really hired guns at times. And with Useful, we wanted to understand how we could really use technology, but in a physical sense, with the real physical world. And we had an amazing opportunity to work with Edward Patinsky on the Advocacy, the film that, he put out, telling the story of our epoch as human beings. And Useful was really born based on that initial project. And what we did there was, find great 3D applications, just before VR headsets or any of that. How do we tell those stories in real time with people, and how do we allow experiential and technology to marry to tell these human stories? So as an example, the name Useful itself lets you know that we didn't want to do any useless work anymore, quote unquote. We would do things that were fulfilling. So we'd work with Coca-Cola, but we'd not work with their large marketing arm. We'd work with their charitable arm. We would work with Sick Kids Canada and, tell the story of the children in those hospitals and the doctors working on it, do experiential lobbies in the commercial real estate space, in outdoor spaces. So that was something we predominantly focused on.
And on this podcast, I'm passionate about sharing startup stories from all around the world in the hope that it will inspire other founders listening. And your story is just fascinating, because that path that you took there, it would then see you turning your focus towards the workplace, where you then co-founded Lane, which is the world's largest and most innovative workplace experience platform. So again, can you share the story behind building one of what became the leading companies in property technology and disrupted the workplace industry in the best possible way? And then went on, I think you sold it for $200 million. Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct. Yes, we did. So the same business partner that I had, Clinton and I, we went through this journey together. So really with Little Room, what was happening there, we were learning all these amazing technologies in real time. HTML5, we're learning about mobile apps. We were in multiple industries, right? Because you're doing agency work. So whether it was automotive, whether it was real estate, it could be in retail, we were really getting these experiences. And then with Useful, we started foraying into the real world with technology. And, as that was happening, I had this amazing opportunity. I don't know if you've ever watched the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix. But,
yeah.
So I was watching that film. I had an RFP show up to my table for one of these commercial real estate properties. I'm looking at the RFP, I'm watching Her, and, something clicked in my brain. And I looked at the RFP and I decided, hey, let me try look at it from a tech standpoint. What would it be like to walk into the most ideal workplace? What would it be like to get a notice about the elevator being down, not when I'm in front of it? What would it be like to notice the slippery floor before I get to the slippery floor? What would it be like to order my lunch or just book and have somebody come in and out without them having to call them front desk? I could just send them an invite. And so with Lane, when all the experience we had, we decided to take a run with it. And Clinton and I sat down, we packaged Useful, we sold that, and decided that we were going to focus on the workplace. And our goal was to have a seamless platform that allows the employees, the tenants, the actual retailers and different factions within building this mini environment, and all interact using technology, whether it's mobile, maybe it's on your desktop. Some actions and some work has to be done maybe through the screens that are in the lobbies. So yeah, we built that out It took us about 3 years to get it to the selling point. Hence why I'm actually in New York. That was part of the expansion.
Yeah.
And yes, it was an incredible journey today.
So, Kofi, you've led multiple digital strategies and fundraising initiatives for non-profits, and you've even started your own foundation. I'm curious, what was it that made you choose this step? And also, congratulations, by the way, on starting this new initiative.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I feel like, more often than not, when you have an immigrant story and you understand migration and you understand what it's taken to get, from our parents, from the people before them, to get us into some of these rooms and these positions, the education I received, which was phenomenal. Giving back is something that is not only innate, but a must do. And so I started the Kofi Gyekye Foundation, and it's focused predominantly on helping with matters around women, LGBTQ community, speaking on how to fund and help them empower themselves within their communities, with what they need, they know. Because often what happens is we tend to come in, and I might say, so the Leyaata, a good example of that was, they wanted to drop iPads everywhere and have people communicate through this form of technology. Yet, they didn't think about the infrastructure of what an iPad would mean to add into that community. They did not think about what that would look like from a hierarchy standpoint, right? What power does that give them within that community? Is it beneficial for all? Did we ask them if they needed an iPad? Right? Might just need clean water to start the process.
Sure.
So it's really what with the foundation I'm trying to focus on right now is bring easy technology and easy aspects to these areas and allow them to figure out how they can help themselves from within with our support.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just love your approach there. And I think that zooming out and taking a look at the bigger picture rather than just, hey, everyone, have a free iPad. It's so much more complex than that, isn't it?
Yes, most certainly.
And I'm curious, what is it that excites you about leveraging technology to make a real impact and difference in the world? We all need a reason to get out of bed in the morning, but I'm just curious what lit that spark in you and what excites you about that?
I think, technology is two aspects I love about the tech communities. One, it's a community. You can reach out to people. We're constantly trying to innovate and push things forward on a daily basis. And so I get quite excited by that. It's an ever-changing, ecosystem. And more importantly, I think, our world problems are for us to solve, and we can do this. I always love to use the Google Glass example. It was such a missed opportunity because what a great piece of technology. And, they had just added some guy slapping his kids in the garden versus let's have an ad with somebody doing surgery in, Somalia, and they're correlating with the doctor, in the UK. Or let's have somebody on the ground up in South America that needs, certain agricultural farming help, or like that actually know how that we need maybe on our side, right? Maybe it's like that's how it looks on the ground. But, we didn't use that technology for that. And what a massive flop. So my excitement here is really to take the technologies we have, a simple thing, an iPhone is so powerful. How do we leverage and use that again to help that human condition and help us create better lives for them?
And you really have been on a phenomenal journey. And I think your story will inspire startup founders listening all over the world. And for founders that are currently dreaming of a series round or a big exit, what would you say your biggest lessons that you've learned from turning these companies that we've talked about today into multiple thriving businesses and selling them for millions of dollars? What are the big lessons you've learned on your journey?
The largest lesson is your team.
Yeah.
So the people who, we didn't do this alone. Often the story is that I'm so glad that I'm being interviewed right now, but, it should be myself and the 200 people behind me that were part of this journey, right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things is make sure you have the right team, make sure you're good to your team, make sure you listen to your team, make sure you're able to delegate, make sure, you listen. That's one of the largest ones, right? Like you brought them in to help support and build this vision. It's almost, I used to look at it often and say, I work for them, they don't work for me, right? As they've taken that leap on my wacky concept and idea and come in every day at 9 a.m. or whatever it is to kind of help solve these problems. So I'd say my biggest learning lesson there is, make sure you have the right team, make sure you treat your team well and support them where necessary, or you're not really going to go anywhere.
Fantastic advice. And we are living in an age where technological change is moving ahead at breakneck speed, and there's also the realisation that it's probably never going to move this slow again, and there's a real pressure on each and every one of us to be in a state of continuous learning. So a question I'd love to ask you here is where or how do you self-educate? Because I think it's something that we all feel. I just wondered if there's anything you can share around that.
So for myself, I dedicate 3 hours of my day to learning. And I think, so one is within my space, B2B SaaS software, even to date, was I'm not doing anything. I wake up in the morning, I make sure I'm on top of it. Same thing with technology. I'll read the articles. If something new comes out, I'll try it. I'll test it out. I'll play with it. I'll send it to my peers. We'll have conversations around it. And then, another big aspect is just things that you have your natural interests. So for myself, I love designs. I still dedicate that 30 minutes daily to go do design. It may feel repetitive, but it's a muscle, something I'm training consistently in order to keep understanding how I can implement it into my day-to-day life, but more so also with, ideas and projects that I'm bringing forward. And I'll say in this journey, the other one I did learn was working out. As crazy as that may seem, a little mental health, physical health, very important in order to absorb all this stuff and be able to, understand how to use these tools that you're working on daily.
And what's next for you? Where do you go from here? You're an incredibly busy guy and you're determined to make a difference and you're doing just that with your work. But what's your big focus right now?
To be quite honest, it takes a lot to do what we did. So at the moment, I'm taking a little pause here for that mental health. People don't really quite let you know what it, and when I say mental health, it obviously always seems negative, but it's like, no, it's, we dedicated 90 hours a week and more to like the concept and idea and just didn't sleep and went through it. And so right now I'm giving myself that time to recharge, energize, embrace a little bit of that fatigue in order to get ready for the next big thing that we're about to do.
Awesome. Well, I wish you the best of luck for the future. And for anybody listening anywhere in the world that's just inspired by your journey and everything that you stand for, and maybe they want to reach out and contact you or find out more information about the work or how they can help and get involved, what's the best starting point for everything?
Email. Please hit me up directly. Email, phone number. I will pass it along to you after this and, post it. I'm more than happy to speak to people. I love learning and hearing and engaging with others and however I can support as well and help. It could be a small product concept or idea or design. Please let me know. Always interested.
Well, I'm absolutely inspired by your journey from that very beginning, and everything that you've achieved there is absolutely phenomenal. But I think for me, as someone that says every episode of this podcast that technology works best when it brings people together, it's your work since leaving this, since leaving Lane and with that $200 million exit and that making a difference and impacting real people. That is where the magic happens for me. So just a big thank you for taking the time to share your story today.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting. And please, everybody, do feel free to write me and I will pass everything along to you.
It was an absolute pleasure having Kofi join us on the Tech Talks Daily podcast today. His journey as a tech entrepreneur and his passion for making a difference in the world are truly inspiring. And I'm sure everybody listening have learned a lot from his experiences and insights. But before I wrap up, I'm curious, what excites you about leveraging technology to make a difference in the world? And you've heard from me, you've heard Kofi's story today. I want to hear more about you. You are a big part of this show. You're the reason that I record it every day. So please email me now, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, just at Neil C. Hughes. Keep your messages coming over. I'll try and get another guest that will inspire founders, entrepreneurs, business leaders all around the globe to pursue your dreams and strive to make a better world through technology. There's enough bad stories around tech out there, isn't there? Let's get some more good news stories. And on that note, thanks for listening as always. And until next time, don't be a stranger.